Good morning and good day to all audience and viewer from Masa University Facebook page and YouTube channel. Welcome to the webinar conducted by Faculty of Engineering, Built Environment and Information Technology of Masa University. My name is Siti Shahira, a lecturer from Faculty of Engineering, Built Environment and Information Technology of Masa University, and I will be serving as your moderator today. Today, we'll be hearing a presentation from SR Mukram Idris. SR Mukram Idris is a senior lecturer, program coordinator for Quantity Surveying, Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment, Masa University. He has been employed with the local university for 20 years and 10 years with the construction industries. His diploma in architecture and bachelor degree is in building surveying from University Technology Marayu ITM. He has a master degree in construction management from the University Technology of Malaysia. He is a registered building surveying under the Royal Institutions of Surveyors Malaysia RISM, and he has a certified Revit Autodesk trainer. For the past 2 years, he has been working in the development for new program under QS discipline. Without further ado, I would like to welcome SR Mukram Idris, who will be speaking to us with topic Build information modeling for cost management. All right, Semukram, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we will discuss on mostly the interesting topic. So, if you look in the screen now, the building information, or currently we known as a BIM. So we try to relate on the cost management. Okay, mostly this is related to the building construction. So on the cost itself, mostly they are very critical part on the process, either in the beginning or in the running costs, and also at the end to make it on the financial closing account and so on. Okay, we try to look on how BIM can help us in conducting or in the cost management itself. Okay, by the way, not all of the construction industry apply 100% BIM, but if they go detail on the BIM application, they can save a lot of time itself and also can be less on documentation and so on. Okay, let's go there here. Okay, so this is the highlighted topic. Okay, we try to focusing on the cost management itself. As we know, okay, if we go detail on the beam itself, it's a digital representation of the building physical and functional characteristic. Then if we directly go to the software itself, we can see not only the physical appearance and so on, how the building function, but we can use as a tools, so valuable tools for the cost estimation in the construction industry. Okay, most of the BIM, they produce the modeling before the construction is started. Okay, so from there, we can do analysis. Okay, all the component in BIM, mostly they are detailed, right? So each of the component, they have their own data. So from there, we can forecast or estimate the costs that apply for the whole or apply for the completed to completed the building itself. Okay, so how to make it accuracy and efficiency? So we mostly look later on the stages on how we can apply and how we can get the data from the modeling. Okay, this is if we look here. Okay, we try to recall back again. Okay, previously this is the traditional approach on how we manage the building management, mostly on the how to do in the beginning, start from design until the end of the project. So if you look here, we try to show you the comparison. This is we take from the Young NW. He come up with this diagram. Okay, by traditionally, you can see on the left side here. So most information or most of the meeting or handling the information, they can what we call face to face from parties to another parties or from another professional to another professional. Then if we form with the new BIM approach, mostly the building modeling will be shared for the whole parties involved. Any person can access the data from the one part of the building itself. So if we look on the left side before, some data they just share between the party that related to the issue rise. Then sometime another parties or another professional quite takes time to get the data for updating and so on. So by using BIM, most of the data we can access all together in real time. Whatever another parties update in certain part, then we can get the latest information. For example, okay, let's say architect do some changes. Okay, at the same time, facility manager or construction manager will know something changes, and at the same time, the costing, for example, QS and so on, can recalculate and get new analysis on the new changes and so on. So this is more important part. Okay, the sharing information or sharing the modeling can come out with the accuracy. Okay, so all the data sharing together. That's the important part of the beam that we can uh, approach on the construction management or the risk management. Sorry, on the cost management. Okay, this is some, or maybe they are not show the above there. Okay, above there they show this is what we can define from the analysis. Okay, this is some of the survey done. Okay, most of the beam, okay, you can see this is the percentage where can contribute to help the industry, to help the parties, okay, to gain the analysis or the knowledge analysis on the data. And also mostly we can see there for the cost estimated estimation, okay, from the software that use or from the BIM approach itself, mostly 24%, okay, they are helping on the cost estimation. For sure, on the 3D coordination is the highest number, 60%. So by the way, if we look here, they can help a lot on the estimation because okay, the building that generate or that design under BIM will have specific data and sometimes they have specific rate already. Okay, the price each of element will be include in the software, include in the data. Okay, once change the rate or the pricing, the size and so on, okay, and automatically for the QS, for the cost estimation, estimator can come out accuracy what they are changes. Okay. Okay, this is another survey that we can find done by under UK environment, okay, UK industry. So if we look here the similar way, okay, this is the Bing approach, the benefit that we can get. If we look here 99%, okay, they can improve the cost estimation and budget control. Okay, the rest mostly they are more on the coordination of the building design structure and so on. Then by this thing, okay, by this approach, the budget in early stage in the presentation or deal with the client and so on, we can get more accuracy if we compare to the traditional method. Traditional method, we need to calculate itself mostly quite similar, but if something changes, okay, sometimes we are miscalculate and so on. But by using BIM approach, Most or anything we change, they will reflect to the cost itself directly. Okay, so this is how important the BIM can help us in the cost management. All right. Okay, this is the way. Okay, if we go more detail, this is more part that we need to highlight, and we need to identify the status, the stages, right? This is mostly related to the cost estimation. Okay, just now we look on overall. So now we go detail on the bin itself, how can help us in the cost estimation. Okay, we go through later on, okay, one by one for the quantity takeoff. We have 4D beam, we have 5D beam, and we will go for the cost tracking and management, okay, cost analysis and visualization, life cycle cost analysis, integration with estimating software itself. So we try to look for the first one. Okay, under quantity take it off. Okay, BIM model itself, they are contain detailed information. The information itself must be provided lah by, for example, by supplier. Okay, we take the model, we put there. The supplier need to come up with the detailed pricing and so on. Okay, so during the quantity, mostly they can automated, means they are auto generate, and it can making more easier to generate accurate list of material and quantity that required for the project. Okay, some project, okay, maybe the client will ask for reduce the cost and so on. Then mostly we try to approach by changes the material. Okay, maybe the material can be changed to make it the lower price and so on. So by using the beam itself, in the modeling we change the design itself, the material what we applied before. So they are auto generate. They will come out with the new pricing and cost. So this is for essential essential of for the cost estimation is very useful. Okay, before we construct, we already can tune or we can adjust it on the cost itself. Okay, so during this stage, any of the changes can be tracking again. Okay, we can track and so on. Sorry. Okay, next one. This is 4D beam. Okay, 4D beam is this is related to the modeling itself. So for 4D, 4D is for data that we can find there. So beam model can be enhanced on the time dimension. So they are known as a 4D beam. So this can allow us to visualize the construction schedule. Okay, at the same time, most critical path, how we schedule the task on site. So by using this modeling itself, okay, to make it a construction schedule and so on, we can get more better, more clear on the project schedule. So estimator can understand well the sequence of activity and also how they associated the costs for each of the activity. So from here, we can generate from the beginning. Okay, what is the first task until the end of the project. So the list of the task itself will come out with the detailed estimation on the detail, for example, on the transportation, on the excavation, and so on. We can set in the modeling. Okay, so the cost mostly can get easily and for sure lah automated just now, right? Okay, for the 4D, we have another 5D. What is for 5D? Okay, in additional to 3D and 4D information, BIM can also include the cost data. Okay, so under cost data is 5D. We can creating in the model. Okay, this integration of the cost information allow estimator to link with the material. Okay, the application itself, okay, they are able to link to another software, for example, Excel and so on. Okay, they will come out, they can extract the data, for example, how to come out the material list or quantities itself and the schedule itself, okay, directly to the cost item. So the cost can be more accurate and efficient. All right. So the data itself must be up to date. All right. So the person on key in the data must have a network. Okay, must have resources on the pricing, the current price, and so on. So if the price changes and so on, the change in the application. So mostly the changes can conclude every single part of item or every part of the material. Okay, it's quite interesting, okay, to use the BIM approach because time is money lah, right? So we will find on how to make it everything fast track and so on and efficient. And at the same time, they will share together. On the sharing itself, sometimes you can make a limited lah, okay? Maybe some data you can filterize, not share to others. For example, supplier and so on and so on. This mostly how they integrate the software lah. Okay, so another is a cost tracking and management. Okay, BIM also can use for the real time cost tracking, right? Once, for example, we use a Microsoft project to do a scheduling and so on. We have a task, we can update the progress of work and so on. So are mostly related to the BIM itself. Okay, the cost tracking means what we are already spent on site. Okay, what currently the progress, so we can monitor using the BIM. Okay, then this might involve the some integration of BIM with the project management. Okay, so they can relate or they can link with the accounting software. So from here, for the payment, for the updating, monthly report, and so on, this approach using BIM can be done and can be more accurate, easy to access. Okay, for the report, sometimes no need to print out, just using PDF and so on, right? So this is what BIM can help on this stage, okay, on the tracking cost. Okay, the payment itself must uh, maybe they pay by progress work and so on. So this is the tracking part, the tools that can track, okay, the work progress. Okay, so cost analysis and visualization. Okay, I will fine tune later on. Okay, because the software itself, we will go for the demonstration. We can come up with the cost report. Okay, for example, they can show on the modeling itself which part is already in progress, already done. So we can use the visualization to identify the stages of project completed, and they can generate the report. Or maybe you want to know how on installation of the material, for example, building component, how many percentage already installed in the level 1, level 2 of the building. Okay, we can filterize and we can come out with the detailed cost by the visual itself. So they show in the application which part done, which part in progress by the different color and so on. So sometimes this is useful for project manager or for QS or whatever to make a decision. Okay, the engineer itself also can involve, can give the what we call suggestion in certain stage where we need to focusing on which part and so on, because various design option will be highlight here. Okay, so yeah, for some time the building itself, the material on site or material in the market, for example supplier, maybe there are not enough source on certain part. Okay, maybe delay will be happen and so on. So by using this approach, maybe the building team can what we call acting fast, okay, to make sure no delay on site and so on. So this is a very interest and important part on the handling the project. Okay, what else? Okay, this is another. Okay, life cycle cost analysis. Okay, by using this, okay, some we need to do or we need to come out with the long-term operational. Okay, because once the building complete, we need to do for the next stage, which is, for example, on the maintenance part. Okay, maintenance also takes a lot of cost will be because of what? We need to make sure the building still in the good condition. Okay, some application can what we call simulate. Okay, which part, which area need to focusing on the maintenance. Okay, so we need to know which category that we need to give more percentage for maintenance part and so on. So cost analysis by the modeling given, okay, we can generate the future what we call a future task or future schedule on the maintenance itself. For sure, maintenance involved with cost. Then we can do some planning on how to maintain the building itself. So by using this software or using the application, we can generate, we can what we call prepare. We give to the, for example, to the client, this is your future investment on the maintenance and so on. Okay, so they are very important part also. Okay, for the next one, this is sometime. Okay, for the building itself, not only one person, one profession involved. Okay, for example, whatever architect do, they will share to the structural, okay, to come up with the structural analysis, the structural size of beam, column, and so on. Then at the same time, they will attach with services, okay, M&E. Maybe they also need to do some on the firefighting and so on, the layout. Then for sure, BIM is one of the application that specialize on handling the what we call the arrangement on design. Okay, so at the same time, for sure, the modeling can what we call integrate, okay, with the specialized estimation software. So by the way, every single part, not only on the civil, for example, for M&E, they also have a cost involved. So we can make it by categorize, okay. So we can estimate each of the component that we want to install or that we want to assemble on site. So the database can be shared all within the party involved. So by the way, here database is important. Database must be accurate. Database must be updated. So if we go through from the beginning just now, most of BIM need to, for example, if you are to what you call apply on your project, okay, you need to spend a little bit on the hardware itself, for example, software, okay, because you need to have a not powerful, at least can handle, for example, the PC or the laptop, okay, having access to the cloud. Then you need to know the person in charge also have a knowledge, enough knowledge to handle the application or the software. Okay, because if you have a platform, then once you want to use it, you need to have a right person to go or handling the software and so on. Then all the team must have the same knowledge or same aim, goals, okay, to successful the project by using this method, beam method, and so on, right? If not, maybe you are stuck in somewhere. So this is the important part. The team that want to collaborate must have average knowledge related to the BIM itself. Okay. Conclusion. So if we go through just now, okay, we can make some solution or conclusion here. Okay, the importance of the implementing BIM for the cost estimation. Okay, the first must put in the list. Okay, the data should be accurate. Okay, the accuracy that we want to generate, the data that we want to process, it must be accurate. Accurate means, for example, the cost itself must be where you want to apply the project lah. For example, let's say you want to apply in Malaysia, the data must have related to the Malaysia market, right? So on the what we call on the supplier itself, okay, you must come out with the detail or updated list that available in market. Okay, and we try to make sure all the process should be standardized. Standardized mean the same understanding, the same application apply on site. So by the way, if there are different approach or different uh, application used, maybe some information that they get against maybe not in the same result. So make sure we use the standardized process. Then the on the collaboration, okay, of all project stakeholder and so on, they must come out with what we call the same language lah, the same understanding, the same application. So by using this, the cost on the estimation in the beginning can be more accurate, approved, and so on. Then everyone will be come up with the same solution, the same aim, right? So it is not a replacement for the expertise of the experienced estimator, but this is just a tool where the data itself can be analyzed and can be used for decision making lah. Okay, so for those who are involved in the construction, so the technology itself more faster than what we are imagining maybe. So we need to prepare ourselves, okay, to adapt and use the technology. Okay, if you are not used, maybe another person use. So we need to make it available for us, okay, to accept the challenge. Okay, I think that's all for today.
Okay, thank you SR Mukram for your sharing.
Thank
Now we have come to the question and answer sessions. So
Mhm.
I have received few questions from the floor. So the first question is, how normally the data size for the model file for software?
Data file means, is
I'm not
it
sure.
the data that they want to process or
Maybe sure there is a tool. I think how big the data size. Example, the model file size. Maybe the
okay, all right.
like
Okay, depends on the project itself. Okay, if the project there are a lot of component, for example, hospital project. Okay, maybe on the hospital they have another special equipment, special requirement that we need to install. Okay, for normal building, for example, school building, they just simple floor area with the normal material, means cement render and so on. So there are not a lot of component that we need to add to the model. Okay. If the project more complicated, more material use, so we need to have a bigger storage or bigger cloud that we need to provide, because every single part will be use the memory. Okay, so based on the project itself.
Okay, and second question is, what is the challenge that you face during handling BIM, such as experience handling a problem team?
Okay, okay, thank you for the question. That's an interesting part. I have been involved before in the project. Mostly the project is 30-story building. Okay, the related on this issue because maybe the stage during that is the beginning on the introduction or approach to the beam. Maybe not all contractor are willing to use the beam as their approach, to use the beam as their mechanism to complete the project. So sometimes we try to show or we try to explain to the person who are really in beginning, okay, on the involvement with the beam. So maybe they cannot find, they cannot get the clear view on what beam can help us or help them. Okay, so we need to share information. We give the example. We do what we have done before. So from there, the player industry on the construction can gain the knowledge. They can see how the important or how beam can help them. So that's a one of the challenging part lah, to collaborate with someone they are not really know well on beam. Okay.
Okay, and I will take this question as the last questions.
Mm-hmm.
So for the last questions, he said that I am interested to get the BIM certificate. However, how
Mm-hmm.
can I get the BIM trainer certificate and how much fee for this course?
Okay. Actually, the beam itself is the big platform. Okay. Then current what we are find in the market, what they are apply, mostly the software. Okay, you need to make it clear. Beam is the approach. Then another is the software to handle the beam. Okay, depends on which position you want to go to. Okay, for example, they have beam for structure. They have a beam for design building. They have a beam for civil and so on. Okay, so depends on what you want to focusing. So for example, current application we use Revit for the building. Okay, so Revit architecture also you can use, or in market there they use for structure and so on. So if we want to uh, means the correct choice, okay, you need to survey the market what they are using now. Okay, but from my experience, software currently they are more apply on site, but the previous or the current, for example, Revit, Autodesk. Okay, so to get the certificate, okay, uh, we can find, if you search to the web, okay, you can find where you can get the certificate that provided by authorized trainer. Okay, depends on the software itself lah. Okay, different trainer, different academic, they produce different what we call that, different software. So what you need to know the market currently demand on what software lah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, SR Mukram, for the clear explanations.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have come to the end part of the presentation. Thank you once again, SR Mukram, for addressing this interesting topic and for these sharing sessions. Hopefully, the presentation was beneficial for everyone. On behalf of Masa University, we would like to thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your time and cooperation. See you in next webinar session. Goodbye and have a great day, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.